by the energy here, it may almost seem like she's home and free. But the race is actually very tight. And that makes this a fascinating election because her rival Donald Trump has threatened to undermine, in his own words, the pillars of American democracy.
Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails. Just imagine.
It's scaring me. It's about 50-50 right now, and it's really
50.
scary.
It's scaring. Trump is someone who many people feel is a threat to democracy. And yet the polls just show both of them tied.
It's crazy.
We're coming out here, to spread awareness about the election and let people within the Muslim community know to go out there and not vote for Trump and not vote for Kamala, because both of them have been advocating for an ongoing genocide inside of Gaza.
You think that could actually be a make or break thing that might make a difference between victory and defeat?
It could be. There are a lot of Muslims, a lot of young people who this issue is a deal breaker, where they might vote for a third party candidate or not vote at all.
And it's going to be a tight race until the very end. And we are the underdog and running as the underdog. So I am at a Kamala Harris rally in Michigan and she has just taken the stage. If you go by the energy here, it may almost seem like she's home and free. But the race is actually very tight. And that makes this a fascinating election because her rival Donald Trump has threatened to undermine, in his own words, the pillars of American democracy. And to say nothing of the daily diet of disinformation and bigotry.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
People from within. We have some very bad people, radical left lunatics. It should be very easily handled by the military.
Now, we are journalists from India. We are not here rooting for one candidate or the other. But at the same time, we're fascinated by how, given the stark contrast between the candidates, the choices confronting voters, it's still a Kante ki Takkar.
Kamala Harris takes the stage in Oakland in Michigan, a suburb of Detroit.
Good evening, Michigan! All right, thank you all. It is so good to be back in Michigan.
Her third stop in Michigan in a single day. Michigan is one of a handful of swing states that could determine the outcome of this election. Biden won last time by about 150,000 votes. No such guarantees this time. Polls suggest Kamala Harris is behind or tied, as she is in all battleground states. On the face of it, a tied race seems baffling.
When we fight, we win!
At the Harris rally, the josh is high.
President Kamala, she is black. With roots wailing India, these are facts. Even that started from Africa. We all immigrants. Over here in America, our vote got power.
In the queues, the rainbow coalition that the Democrats consider their winning mix seems to be in place. African-American former convicts wrongly charged are here for her.
And I spent 20 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit.
Okay.
And I've been exonerated now. For 4 years. So criminal justice reform is important. I support the Biden-Harris administration, and I support Vice President Harris in her pursuit to become president.
So are this couple wearing queers for Harris t-shirts.
Thanks to Obama, we're allowed to get married, be recognized nationally.
Yeah, I see you're rocking these
Shucks and pearls.
Chucks and pearls. Okay,
Yeah.
so right. So to explain to our viewers in India, this is a Chuck Taylor, this is a Converse sneaker, and these are pearls, and that's Kamala's signature
Kamala
look.
and Ruth, yeah.
I see you wearing these t-shirts. We have seen them on the internet as well. This is Harris Walls removes weird orange stains. It's like a laundry, like Tide, like the detergent Tide. Okay.
Women, like this first-time voter, backing Harris in numbers after a Trump-appointed Supreme Court struck down abortion protections.
I believe that she stands with all the right things, especially like reproductive rights, all of those raging issues that are going on. And like as a young woman here in the United States, I'm scared to not have access to the proper health care as a woman. And I believe that Kamala is there to help us with that, and that she stands with us versus trying to oppress us.
We are in America's auto hub, and here are union members from Detroit's car makers.
My mom was in, working at Ford, and I'm, second generation Ford. Some of these people are out here working so hard and ending up with surgeries and stuff because they're doing the same movements every day for years and years and years. Harris respects things. She knows what we're out here to fix. She was out there on the thick line with us. She's supporting us too.
Okay. Inside, Kamala Harris reminds them of what is at stake.
Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails. Just imagine. He who has vowed, if re-elected, to be a dictator on day one. He who calls Americans who disagree with him the enemy from within and says that he would use the military, the American military, to go after the American people.
Her audience says they're aware of the threat Trump poses.
I'm terrified of Trump being reelected.
Or I feel as if Trump is a very radicalist that I can't agree with, and he would infringe on rights of people of my color and people around me of other genders and stuff that could very well threaten me and my family.
Awareness that Trump is a dictator in the making. Check. Rainbow Coalition. Check. Women. Check. Crowd energy. Check. Also check. Fundraising. The Harris campaign says it has raised a staggering $1 billion, over $500 million more than Trump, allowing her campaign to ramp up its grassroots outreach.
This election is a choice between two very different visions for America.
Harris is also outspending Trump when it comes to TV ads.
We are a city of winners.
Ads like this one taken out by the campaign are on high rotation in Michigan. The ad is in response to a Trump blunder, telling an audience in Detroit that he will ensure other American cities don't become like Detroit.
And so what Donald Trump doesn't understand, or care to learn, is that when he said
our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president,
that he should be so goddamn lucky.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
So why then is she bafflingly in a dead heat with Trump?
Trump is someone who many people feel is a threat to democracy. And yet the polls just show both of them tied.
It's crazy. I don't understand it. I just feel like the Republicans are under a spell. And they need to wake up and understand that this man is bad for our country. I don't understand it.
Here's what I don't understand. Kamala raised $1 billion. Can you even imagine the scale of that money? $1 billion can buy 3 Boeing 777s. It can buy Queen Elizabeth's holiday home nearly 7 times over. It can buy you over 25 weeks of holidaying at the International Space Station. Whereas for just $6 a month, you can support our journalism. $6, that's rupees 500. For 500 rupees a month, you get quality stories, videos, podcasts, and reportage, not just from India, but beyond. To contribute, log on to newslaundry.com/subscription or scan the QR code on your screen right now. Choose an amount that's convenient to you, click subscribe. It's actually that easy to make journalism great again.
It's scaring me. It's about 50-50 right now, and it's really
50.
scary.
It's scary.
When I've gone door to door, only 10% of people were Kamala Harris supporters, and it's really scary. There's a lot of Trump supporters right here, so we got to educate them because they're voting out of their own self-interest.
A 50-50 race is all the more bewildering, given her high-voltage entry in July. when Kamala Harris replaced Joe Biden and galvanized a faltering Democratic campaign.
Vice President Kamala Harris accepting the Democratic nomination to thunderous applause.
I accept your nomination.
We are ready for a president, Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris is ready for the job.
Just watch both their faces. He is clearly bristling with barely contained frustration. She's enjoying mocking and laughing at him.
Taylor Swift, with 283 million followers on her Instagram account within the last 5 minutes, has just publicly come out in favor of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, saying that she will be voting for them.
More than 200 Republicans who worked for both former President Bush's Senator John McCain and Senator Mitt Romney have endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for president.
The surge of support reflected in the polls. In July, Trump was ahead of Biden. By September, Harris had a 3-point lead over Trump. That gap has now closed. In late October, the Kamala Harris official site, no less, carried a stark message. We are falling behind.
Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
At the rally, she acknowledges her underdog status.
And it's going to be a tight race until the very end. And we are the underdog and running as the underdog.
From frontrunner to underdog. To understand the Kamala paradox means leaving the bubble of the rally and to seek out America's undecided voters. Like Mark from Michigan, who says he's no Trump fan but hasn't decided on voting for her because of a lack of clarity on her plan.
I haven't made the decision yet.
Okay, why is
but
that?
I won't be voting for Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Mhm.
But like you mentioned, you're still figuring out who you'll be voting for.
Right, I only have two choices.
But given that you just said that it is two factions and there's one that's trying to go backward, what's sort of still keeping you on the fence?
I think policy right now.
So with Harris, you're not resonating with.
I see some good policy, but not a full description of what's the plan,
Right.
what her plan is.
Right.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Right.
And she's only got 3 weeks to do it.
Where we build what I call an opportunity economy. So
Kamala Harris says, in fact, she has a plan centered around benefits to middle-class Americans.
under my plan, we will deal with things like bringing down the cost of housing. We will help entrepreneurs start and grow a small business. My plan will also give middle class tax cuts to 100 million Americans, including $6,000 during the first year of a child's life, because here is where I'm coming from.
William from Texas tells us he's heard of her plans but is undecided because of rising prices under Biden and Harris.
The economy is probably one of the big items for me. I would say that's probably the biggest one.
Right, and the economy, because just for context.
Just with inflation, and I know it's hard because I know things used to cost a lot less just a few years ago, and it's just become harder for a lot of people, not just me, but people that I know.
Sure, people are hurting financially. But what if the argument that the alternative is Trump, a threat to democracy?
I don't believe that.
No.
Yeah, I know everybody gets excited on both sides.
Right.
And with our family, we do have quite a few people that are on both sides, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. Personally, I don't believe that it's going to affect our democracy.
If Trump
I think
wins?
we're strong either way. Whether
Either way.
Trump wins or Kamala, I feel like it's what we do in America. We vote. We get to do this every 4 years, and so I don't see this being any different.
Worries over Biden-Harris's handling of the economy or Kamala Harris's vagueness might be legitimate reasons for American voters to still be undecided. In normal times, with normal choices. Trump, though, with his multiple red flags, is no normal rival. So could there be another reason why Americans tend to overlook Trump's red flags and see both sides as the same? Could it be race? As we pointed out in an earlier episode, Trump has ramped up the anti-immigrant rhetoric, making false claims of a migrant crime wave to drum up the support of white Americans.
I told you about this phenomenon. It's called migrant crime. It's a new category of crime.
Yet polls find a third of Hispanic Americans, whom Trump routinely vilifies, backing Trump. This woman we met in New York, herself an immigrant from the Dominican Republic, says she prefers Trump because of the immigrant surge under Biden-Harris.
Anteriormente yo no iba de acuerdo con Donald Trump, pero ahora mismo sí, porque Trump está en contra de la Agenda 2020. Donald Trump es más cristiano de lo que la persona piensa. Él está en contra del aborto, está en contra de muchas cosas y cuando él habla en contra de la inmigración no es realmente de todas las personas que se emigran, sino de las personas que están entrando que no tienen buenos antecedentes penales.
Okay, I was just going to ask her that because he's supposed to be very anti-immigrants and I'm assuming she herself, you've come from, like, is she from Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay, but you think that that doesn't make him against all immigrants? You think it's only against some?
No, yo pienso que por el concepto de él, de una persona de prosperidad, Donald Trump está en contra de las personas que están viniendo a delinquir.
The same argument in support of Trump made by this hairstylist we meet, who has also recently arrived from the Dominican Republic.
I prefer Trump.
Trump?
Yes.
Okay, why is that? Just out of
because
curiosity.
the immigrants is out of control. So
okay.
Maybe Kamala can not have the experiences like Trump. Trump is better for me.
For the immigrants?
Yes.
When you say out of control, meaning too many coming in, or?
Yes, because the door, this country is the frontera. I don't know what it means in English,
okay.
But the frontera is the door, this country. I need to laugh and know wherever wants to come in is good.
Right.
Is for the economic is down.
Okay.
Yes.
Because too many of the immigrants?
It's too much.
Too much.
It's too much.
It gets weirder. Harris, who identifies as a black woman, is, according to the polls, struggling with winning the support of black men. Mark, a Kamala supporter, says he's aware of concerns amongst African Americans regarding Kamala. But Trump, he says, is a far worse option.
For the most part, I've heard a lot of people complaining about the effects that she's had as the role of a prosecuting attorney. But when we look at just comparing her to Trump, it's no real contest because Trump has already done enough to damage the community.
But Michael, a construction laborer from New York, says he feels let down by all sides equally and will not be voting this time.
So some people say, the Democrats say that if Trump comes, it's going to be really bad for American democracy. That if Trump comes in, he's still not accepted that he lost the last election. He incited a riot, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's another thing I turned you off about Trump with the rioting. I feel like he caused that.
The fact that he's that guy doesn't make you feel strongly enough to come out and vote against him, like that you would want someone like him not to win. Or you don't think it's such a big deal?
I would if I had my faith and my trust in these people. I don't. I lost that like I said, I lost that with Obama. I lost that actually with Bush. So it's like, it's like I'm old enough now. I'm 30. I'm about to be 40 years old. So I'm old enough now to see these people for what they are. Like nothing changes. Nothing at all changes.
This person seems willing to overlook Trump's racism because Trump is more upfront about it.
And Trump, he could be racist. That don't got nothing to do with us. But as long as he's doing what he's doing, that's what it is.
The fact that, but like you said, he can be racist, that doesn't bother you as a person of color?
I mean, everybody's racist, but people don't put it out there front street. Everybody's racist. Everybody's racist.
Some of these responses may not make much sense, but there is one group of traditional Democrat supporters whose criticism of Kamala Harris might be grounded in genuine grievance. Arab Americans and Muslim Americans, small in number overall, but crucial in swing states like Michigan. They're angry with the Biden-Harris administration for the US's continuing support to Israel's brutal ongoing offensive in Gaza and now Lebanon. Some of these Arab Americans literally want to abandon Harris. Mahmoud Muhaysin is a volunteer with the Abandon Harris movement, handing out flyers after Friday prayers outside a mosque in Dearborn, Michigan. Dearborn has amongst the largest concentration of Arab Americans in America. Their votes helped Biden win in 2020. Now, groups like Abandon Harris are calling for a boycott of both candidates, a call that is expected to largely hurt Kamala Harris.
We're coming out here, to spread awareness about the election and let people within the Muslim community know to go out there and not vote for Trump and not vote for Kamala, because both of them have been advocating for an ongoing genocide inside of Gaza.
Okay, and in that regard, you think both are the same?
Yeah.
Kamala and Trump?
Yep. Two sides of the same coin.
Okay. Even though some would argue that when it comes to Muslims, when it comes to the Middle East and the Palestine question, Trump has been much stronger, like he's been much more pro-Israel. He said some very derogatory things as well about Muslims.
He may have said some derogatory things about Muslims, but the Biden administration, which Kamala Harris is a part of, killed 200,000 according to LICNA. So, I mean, if you want to tell me words are more harmful than killing, then I guess you can say that, but I'll continue advocating for what I advocate for.
Those concerns resonate with ordinary residents of Dearborn.
Confusing and disappointing. None of the candidates really, is pro-Arab or pro-Muslim, and they both have bloods on their hand, and so it's going to be a very difficult decision.
Aware of the backlash, Kamala Harris at her rally brings up Gaza at the very start.
I know this year has been very difficult, given the scale of death and destruction in Gaza, and given the civilian casualties and displacement in Lebanon. It is devastating, and now Sinwar's death can and must be a turning point. Everyone must seize this opportunity to finally end the war in Gaza.
Generalities at this stage will not cut it, says Ilhan Omar, a leading Democrat congresswoman, a Muslim, and someone who's been pushing her own government to enforce an arms embargo on Israel. She says the Gaza conflict could cost Kamala Harris the election.
I mean, it is a huge blind spot, and one that needs attention from Vice President Harris, not just in rhetoric, but in policy proposals. And I am afraid that unless that happens, we might not be able to win with the current coalition that we have if we lose such a huge part of our coalition.
You think that could actually be a make or break thing that might make a difference between victory and defeat?
It could be. I mean, you've got states where, you're in the 2020 election, it was won by 11,000, like Georgia. And certainly there are a lot of Muslims, a lot of young people who this issue is a deal breaker, where they might vote for a third party candidate or not vote at all.
This election is about hope, inspiration, aspiration, and yes, repudiation. It's all of those things because we have Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket.
If there is one group of traditional Democratic supporters that are excited, it is Indian Americans, gathered here at a campaign event in Michigan alongside other groups of color.
It's easy to raise a bunch of money and throw commercials on TV. And we've all seen hundreds of commercials. And if you think back to it, you probably don't remember 90+% of them. But a good conversation on the doors is how you get your message across, is how you shape the faces of democracy. Because we need more Sharons, more Stephanies, more Aishas in government. And obviously more Kamala.
In recent years, more Desis have been leaning Republican. But the Democrats like Shuvra Das, who we follow as he goes door to door in the Michigan suburb of Troy, are hoping Harris's entry will check the flow.
I'm here from the Troy Democratic Club, and we are going around talking to voters, particularly voters from our community, to make sure they're voting for the Democrats. And if they have some questions, we can answer your questions. So, are you ready to vote for the Democrats?
Yes.
Thank you very much, because what we are trying to do, and you can tell your friends and everybody you know in the community and outside.
We have thousands of people.
Yes,
all
please
voting.
tell them.
No, they're all voting.
They're all voting. Very good.
Yeah, we discuss every single week when we meet.
And ask them to vote
every
early.
Single all voting for Harris.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why is that? If I'm
Pardon?
asked, why?
Well,
Harris?
we discuss, because one thing, we also need the educated, president, and think and talk about like the other communities, and she's our community.
That community support may or may not be enough to tip her over the line. The race, inexplicably, is neck and neck. For now, as the rally winds to a close, Kamala Harris ends strong.
So, Michigan, today I ask you, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you. God bless America.
I'm in America to report on one of the most high-stakes elections in its history. Similar to a high-stakes election we just had. Remember, democracy khatre mein hai, constitution khatre mein hai? Well, that's what Donald Trump's rivals say will happen to America if he comes to power. Watch our reports from inside the election that could change America forever. And as always, remember to back this kind of journalism. It's ambitious, it's expensive. You did that and helped us get to Israel. Now, do it so we can tell more stories like this one.